In this video we're going to use the multiplication algorithm to solve example 2, but in particular for question A and B we're going to use a couple of little tricks to make our lives a little bit easier. Alright, so starting with question A, it's 32 times 50. Now you could, if you wanted to solve it, you could just write it out like so, 32 times 50. But you would have 2 digits below, which takes a little bit longer to solve. So I'm going to put a red cross through that because that's a perfectly fine way of doing it, but we're going to do an easier method. Instead, we're going to do 32 times 5. So we're going to completely ignore the 0 for now. Okay, so 5 times 2 is 10. Put down the 0, carry the 1. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 1 is 16. So we get 160. Now, if 32, whoops, I can't write 32. I'm going to have to try and write 35 for some reason. So if 32 times 5 equals 160, then 32 times 50, which is the question we want to solve, is the same thing except with an extra 0 at the end. So you can ignore zeros and then add them on at the end. We'll do the same for question B. This time it's actually got 2 zeros. So we're going to ignore both of them. We're going to do 56 times 12 and ignore the zeros. Okay. And when we talk about ignoring zeros, it can only be zeros that are at the end of the number, just like both of these. 2 times 6 is 12. Put down the 2, carry the 1. 2 times 5 is 10, plus the 1 is 11. And because we got moving to the second column and moving to the second row for our solution, we need to add a 0 in. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 5 is 5. Now we add our numbers up. 2 plus 0 is 2. 1 plus 6 is 7. And 1 plus 5 is 6. So if we do 56 times 12, we get a solution of 672, which means that 560 times 120 is going to have the same digits, 6, 7, and 2, but we just need to add 2 zeros at the end of it since we took 2 zeros off at the beginning. Alright, last question, question C. There's no real trick to doing this one. All we need to know is that 23 squared is the same as going 23 times 23. So we're just going to go 23 over 23. We're going to multiply it and work it out. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 2 is 6. Now we're going to move on to the second row. So we're adding a 0. 2 times 3 is 6. And 2 times 2 is 4. And we add them up. 9 plus 0, 9. 6 plus 6, 12. Carry the 1. 4 plus 1, 5. And that's the end of our video on example 2.